Hey everyone, how's it going? Now I am gonna level with you here. I'm having such a hard time coming to grips with the completely mixed feelings of this week's title. Never in my life have I had such an exciting, mind-blowing experience that was also met with a feeling of dread and boredom. We all know and love it, it's Bioshock Infinite. And though now I join every one of you out there who told me how epic this game is, I feel we need to sit down and have a little intervention. So the game is a huge and fantastic piece of artwork, nicely detailed and set in such a spectacular and adventurous world that will have us all doing the Bear Grylls and drinking our own piss for a chance to explore. And though we have this vast city in front of us, I feel Bioshock Infinite is also insanely simple and linear. Before you jump to the comment section and downvote the video, please hear me out. I honestly do love the story. The ideals in Bioshock Infinite and the ending left me feeling excited and violated, as if the entire fabric of my being had been shook awake from some sort of coma. So we join Booker DeWitt, as he ventures to an unknown floating island in order to save a damsel in distress. Or so I would have hoped, as he's really there to kidnap a girl in order to pay off his large debts back in New York. Once we are introduced to the fabulous floating city of Columbia, I was taken back. The beautiful backdrops and the intricate detail in the levels are fantastic. And I can now understand why everybody felt weak at the knees and was swooning over these gorgeous visuals. I honestly could not wait to run around the city exploring everything, and I was not disappointed. But as soon as we all realise all is not well in the city of Columbia, I started to realise that the veil of beauty, purity and adventure was falling from my eyes, as I came to realise the game was actually very linear. Okay, so it's not a non-rail shooter, but I think the disappointment may have made me feel worse than it is. So as you go through the game, you start to unravel a huge story that's honestly so mind-blowing, it's like a mixture of every good M. Night Shyamalan movie. But in here lies the problem with Bioshock Infinite. It's not the story, it's those flabby bits around the edges, the gameplay, that's it, the gameplay. Now I know half of you are probably shocked, but if you take a look at Bioshock Infinite and honestly think about it, I'm sure you can at least see my point. In between exploring the detailed city of Columbia and having your mind completely blown, it felt like every 30 minutes I was running headlong into a brick wall, coming to such an emergency stop that I'm sure I could probably claim for whiplash. It's not the running around and exploring the locations I dislike, but the open fight sequences. Playing the game on hard mode made it feel as though the fights lasted far too long and didn't really pose any threat to my person. Even if it did, however, I was not all that bothered to die and respawn, as the only penalty was losing about $50. I think the only times I was truly in danger was when melee characters would swarm my location without any regard to their own mortality. I mean honestly, the day that your commanding officer sends you to fight a guy with a machine gun and rocket launcher with a glorified stick is the day you should probably start looking for another line of work, as I just don't think he's that father figure that you've been hoping for since Uncle Roger moved out. This major problem could easily have been avoided by just mixing up the battles a little bit more. Instead of just giving people more health or having tank-like characters, why not give enemies vigors so that it feels like they're an even match? I mean, if the military of Columbia did not think that vigors had any battlefield potential, then it's probably a good thing that they're on the receiving end. Maybe it'll shock them into re-evaluating their entire life. I do get that there are attempts to mix things up by separating you from Elizabeth every now and then, but if anything that just makes the fighting a little bit more boring, stripping you of bringing items into existence, which is one of the few things that made the gameplay tolerable. If I'm perfectly open with you here, the game could have been completely stripped of the large open battles bar a few obvious points in the game, and I feel the game would have been greatly improved. I can't be the only person out there who would have been a lot happier creeping around corridors, searching for supplies and secrets, and fighting small groups of enemies that would ambush my location, more like Bioshock back in 2007. There are a few loose ends in the story that would need tying up in order for me to feel like this game deserves the praise it has. Such as Elizabeth's jump from fearing the sight of blood to being an accessory to mass genocide, or the introduction that all characters on Columbia were upper-class racists. I mean, if you're going to introduce racism, don't belittle everything the world over have worked for in terms of equality for just another plot device that you drop moments later. Maybe the production team have complex Venn diagrams of inherently evil traits and unfortunately racists were just at the intersection. But please, explore something rather than just going, oh look, racists. Now despite all this, I have to say that I still love Bioshock Infinite and really enjoyed the story. As I've said, I just feel like the gameplay took a step back from what makes the series fantastic. And though I can't wait to see where the franchise will go next, I don't want to be caught up in a never-ending stream of fights from behind cover, and that comes from a gamer who has a large collection of generic repetitive shooters. So let me know what you guys think on the subject. Do you think looking at Bioshock Infinite in retrospect it is still the dog's pendulous naughty bits? Or do you feel like maybe your judgment was clouded by the epic scale of the story? As always guys, if you liked the video please slap that like button and leave all positive and negative comments in the section below. Also don't be afraid to catch me on Twitter if you ever want to chat. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you next time on Immersed Gamer.